Joining me now is Professor Dr. Fattah El-Awaisi. He's an international relations professor, joining us live from Ankara to talk to us further about the settlers that have stormed Al-Aqsa complex for Passover. Good afternoon, Professor. Thank you for joining NewsHour.
Thank you for having me.
Now, hundreds of Israeli settlers have forced their way into Jerusalem's flashpoint Al-Aqsa Mosque compound to celebrate the week-long Jewish holiday for Passover. How can you evaluate this provocation in terms of peace and security in the region?
Unfortunately, this is not the first time. This has been happening to Al-Aqsa compound since 1967, since Israel occupied the West Bank, including the East Jerusalem and Al-Aqsa Mosque. And the Israeli, either right-wing or the government currently, they are encouraging, they are not settlers, by the way, they are extremists, Jewish religious individuals, which they have been supported by Benjamin Netanyahu, the current Prime Minister of Israel, and the cabinet in Israel to attack al-Masjid al-Aqsa through several means. And it's now become very obvious, especially within the support from America to Israel, and also with the weak position of the Muslims and the Arabs. Unfortunately, in the last 10 years, especially with the Arab Spring, the fail of the first wave in the Arab Spring, the Israeli took advantage from this, and among the Muslims, unfortunately, we haven't seen any voice except the voices from Turkey, either from President Erdogan or from the Turkish cabinet or from NGOs or individuals in Turkey. But the rest of the Muslim world, unfortunately, are sleeping and they are not taking any steps, and the Israelis is taking advantage from this.
Okay, now the international community believes that the two-state solution is the only path to resolving the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. But unfortunately, recent trends and developments have led many to believe that a viable two-state solution is a dream of the past. Now, do you think that the recent trends have been undermining the long-standing paradigm for peace?
Well, during Trump administration, a two-state solution, a lot of European even, they said this is not an option anymore. We don't know what is the new administration, but looking at the record of Biden in particular, which he said he's Zionist more than any Israelis, I don't expect anything. I think from my understanding as a scholar of international relations, this project, which called Israel, is a Western colonial project, which started with the British in so many years. And yes, it is a Zionist state, but in the meantime, it's supported by the West, and the West, they see it as a tool to divide, in particular, the Arab and the Muslim country. So I think all these solutions, when I examined the document in London in the British Archive, and this became very, very obvious to me. This is a Western project regarding divide and ruling in the region. So this is not the first time the two-state solution was put in the table as part of the stage. Maybe after 10 years we might have another proposal, but at the end of the day, this is for the survival of the state of Israel.
Mm-hmm. Now, Turkey has reiterated its support for Palestine at every opportunity. How can you elaborate Turkey's contribution to the two-state solution and the welfare of the Palestinians?
As I said, by the way, today is the 45th anniversary of the land, or they called it the Palestinian land, or the Day of the Land in Palestine. And as I said earlier, in answering one of your early questions, the only country, the Palestinian, having hope is Turkey. I'm talking politically, I'm talking at the international organization, and also at the NGOs. The only compare with the normalization of Saudi Arabia, of United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, Morocco, and maybe Saudi Arabia at a later stage, Kosovo and other Muslim country. Unfortunately, this is very difficult time for Al-Aqsa. This is very difficult time for the Palestinian. And the only hope I can see within this difficult time is Turkey. And Turkey is doing what it can. Turkey also having pressure from the Americans, having pressure from different corners. So Turkey is doing what it can within the current international climate.
Okay. Professor, thank you so much for joining the program. I appreciate your time and contribution.
Pleasure.